the orthopods and the PTs are like, you're recovered and you're done here, and we've never seen this before.
Right.
And unfortunately, for most people, and it sounds like you're included, really that lesson isn't learned until after the fact.
Absolutely.
The good news is you didn't have any major injuries, but we've seen some
yeah.
people end up learning it after a big injury.
Right.
What about from a leadership standpoint? What would you tell somebody? Because usually the kids are going to be, they might already have that label of captain or have a C on a jersey or a uniform. What would you tell them? Like, what advice would you give to that young person that's starting to realize, like, hey, I'm the only guy with a C on my chest?
Mm-hmm.
Or the girl that's now the team captain, and coach is looking at them saying, hey, you need to step up, or looking at that athlete and hoping that they're kind of going to rally the troops and bring up morale. What advice would you give that person?
It's a good question. Being a leader is so comprehensive. There's the vocal side. You have to be vocal if you want to be a leader. So many people are like, well, I lead by example. To me, that's an excuse. If you want to lead, you have to be vocal to a certain extent. You have to live by example, consistency in the way you take care of your schoolwork, take care of your body, being to lifting or practice or whatever event, being there on time. Treating people the right way. You have to be consistent day in and day out, and even when it's hard. You have to go over and beyond the call of duty, period. I've had some phenomenal people in my life teach me about leadership, one being Jerry Kill, coached me at Northern Illinois for 3 years, and just so highly respected among the coaching world. And I remember one day he came up to me. It was the first year I was at Northern. He said, Chandler, what have you done today to get better? I was like, well, Coach, I went to film and lifting and all this kind of stuff. He's like, no. Outside of the norm, what have you done today to get better? And I was like, man, that kind of just hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like I guess I really haven't done anything. He's like, you're either staying the same or you're getting worse. Or, I'm sorry, you're never staying the same, right? You're either getting better or you're getting worse. Never staying the same. So that's one thing that, take that 1 point home is, you can never be stagnant. You always have to be doing extra if you want to be great. And then, greatness and leadership to me are a relationship that go in unison up and down. And, so just, living by example, being that high integrity, consistent person day to day, even when it's tough.
So it's right back to, again, and this is kind of the backstory that our society doesn't pay enough attention to, especially when we look at kids and just kids being active, and that is that you have to be doing the extra stuff. Like, you're not going to get good if you're not doing the extra. And there's no doubt Coach Kill is one of the best coaches that's coached the game of football. And you're one of the best football players that's played. And again, you guys that are watching this is going to keep coming up, which is if you want to be better than average, you have to be willing to do more than average, or you're not going to get there.
Right.
And that there's no skipping that part. There's no sitting on the couch. Like, you have to go do the extra workouts. If you're doing weight training at school, that's great. That's a must do. Guess what? Everybody's probably doing it at the high school level. So are your teammates and your competitors. You got to do the speed and agility. Like, you have to do all of it.
Yeah.
What about getting exposure? Like, to the kids that are junior, senior in high school, what would you tell them about if they have the skills, they're doing that extra work? What would you suggest they do at that junior to senior year or going into junior year to get more eyeballs on them in whatever their sport is? And it could be a softball player or a volleyball player. What would you suggest to make people aware of what you're doing?
Well, first I would start sooner than junior, senior. I would definitely start probably your sophomore year. At some point your sophomore year, when you realize you want to, let's say, play college athletics or go to college and be a part of something, you need to start getting serious, about your life. Probably sophomore year of high school. That's when I realized, my competitive advantage is probably playing quarterback. I'm a 6'2" white guy. I don't jump that well, and I'm not like a great shooter on the basketball court. So I'm like, I'm going to be a football player. Okay. I just got serious about it. So you need to think about, you got to grow up. You need to think about, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Do you want to be close to home? What kind of education do you want to get? Things like that. And then, let's say in sport, I know times have changed, but you really want to start building a list of maybe universities that you're looking at. And then you start getting in contact with them, coaches, administrators, finding those emails, going to those college websites, getting their email accounts, shooting out as many emails as possible, sending out letters of yourself. If you're getting recruited, let's say you're an athlete that you have some substantial resume behind you, and you're starting to get recruited by whatever level of school, you want to be different. Again, just like training or your schoolwork, you want to be different. You want to set yourself apart. You need to create. What I did was I created a collated binder of myself, resume, transcript, a picture of myself, my hobbies, a cover letter. What do I want? What do I want out of my university? What do I want to tell this coach that maybe he doesn't or she doesn't know about me already? I'm going to send links to my Huddle account, my Facebook account, wherever maybe I have highlights. I'm going to send them perhaps a flash drive with a highlight on there, YouTube video. You have to promote yourself. Unfortunately, that's where we're at in this world. You have to promote yourself. So you got to get out there. You have to be proactive. Being proactive is key.
So NIU didn't just show up one day and say, here's your scholarship, come play football.
We sent out 29 collated binder packages with DVDs of my highlights and then 2 full game footages to not just show my great plays, but show every play, right? And then I remember when I was getting recruited, the one thing NIU said about me, they're like, you stood out every single play. From obviously the good plays, but the bad plays, helping your teammates up, good attitude, hustling. Maybe someone else scores a touchdown. Well, who's the first one down there to celebrate with your teammates? It's those kind of things. So, you take some of those ideas and you apply it to yourself. I'm telling you, you'll find success in whatever whatever you're pursuing.
It's back to you can't do just what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
How many of your high school classmates went to a Division I school for football?
Just one.
You?
Just one.
How many of them sent a collated anything to college?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah.
So
just
again,
me.
it's a study of, I don't know how many were in your graduating class, but let's say there were 60 varsity football players. One got a scholarship to play football in a sizable program and went to the NFL, and he's sitting right here. So again, it comes back to not doing average, being willing to do the extra work that no one else is doing. And that was probably on top of track and homework or whatever other sport you had going on, any responsibilities you had at home.
Right.
So it comes back to you have to do the extra.
Right.
Obviously you weren't lucky. I think it was Earl Nightingale back in the 50s or 60s said, luck happens when preparedness meets opportunity. If you're not prepared and the opportunity comes, you're not going to get it.
Right.
So you were doing the extra stuff, and based on our conversation here today, that was just part of your character.
Yeah.
I'm going to go watch film and I'm going to do this to prepare myself, but I'm also going to do the extra. I'm going to switch from baseball to track because I get a little bit more me time to develop me, and that's more of the extra. Yeah. And when we look at athletes that come in, we get some that, I'm the former fat guy. I haven't played sports since like 7th grade. I want to help kids that don't like sports because they're not good at them. Usually they're not good at them because they're hard, and they're hard because they're not coordinated. I want to help get those kids the coordination.
Right.
The ones that are good and have an opportunity, I want to make sure that they're aware. You got to be prepared. Like, you got to start now.
Right.
You got to do it in the classroom. You got to put that collated binder together. You got to be willing to spend the money and the time to get them sent out. You have to take the time to respond to the colleges when they tweet you or they text you or they Facebook message or whatever it is. You have to make that investment. And the reality of it is, again, based off everything you said sitting here, if you're not willing to make that extra investment, you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, if you're not willing to do the extra, then don't set your goals very high. It's just simple. And one thing I learned early on was I just love the grind, man. I love to not only invest in myself, but invest in other people. And when you love it, it becomes a part of your process. And when it becomes a part of your process, it becomes a habit. And then all of a sudden, when those tough times hit, what happens? Your habits come out. How do you naturally respond to a negative event? And you've been practicing good habits for a long time, good things just happen, and good luck happens.
And that's what, like, when we look at training our athletes, we use high-speed treadmills to do it, and some people are like, well, I don't need to run on a treadmill, or we don't run on a treadmill in my sport, or we don't run much. But part of what we're doing is reinforcing movement mechanics, proper running mechanics, in an environment where the athlete can see, hear, and feel what it's like to do it right. Everybody learns different. Some learn by seeing, some learn by doing, some learn by hearing. So we can cover all of that, but that repetition means that when they're stressed in a game, they revert back to those good mechanics. And good mechanics mean you're faster.
Right.
You're more agile. Well, cool. Well, Chandler, we appreciate your time, man. We love having you stop by FitWorkz. You're welcome here anytime. Thanks for tuning in. This video, like all of our videos, is brought to you by Eat by Color. The only other thing is, when is your camp back home?
I'm having my football camp July 11th through the 13th.
So July 11th through the 13th, and that is near Fort Wayne? Right?
That is near Fort Wayne, exactly.
Who's it open to?
Just my high school, the people that live in my community, but.
Well, that's actually one of the reasons that I've maintained contact with Chandler, is back to the extra stuff. Even kids in our market that he spent time with, he's stayed in touch with. He continues to give back to the community he came from in a way that really, I mean, you're one that went on to collegiate athletics for football, continuing to give back to the kids and give back to the community. Thanks for tuning in.